Sweet. Say it, okay. Good morning, Internet. Welcome back to another episode of Stalwart Saints. This is a little bit of a special case. This was kind of like an impulsive, like we need to get an episode out, but also I sent a video into our group chat with all the boys, and I was just like, hey, we should do an episode on this sometime. And then Alex was just like, now. We need to do this one now. I was like, all right. So little bit about like what's going on. We've all just been like working in school and stuff, and that's probably why we've been like really quiet lately. Just busy young adult stuff. What do you mean L?
It's an L. It's an L for us that we haven't been doing as much.
Oh, okay. I thought it was an L for me, and I was gonna say I have the best
It
job
is. It's
ever.
for me too, though.
I'm working
You do
at
have a good
FSY
job.
right now.
I have a good job too, but yours is more fun than mine.
Mine is great. I don't think it pays as well, but mine is a lot of fun. But with all that out of the way, I was kind of scrolling through YouTube and I found a video about the different takes between George Lucas versus the people that are actually in charge of Star Wars today and their takes on the dark side. And the difference between like the dark and the light side of the Force. I promise this will get into gospel stuff in a second, but
Bro,
like
the dark and light side of the Force was based on the gospel. Are you kidding me?
yeah, because I was listening to this and I was like, this is way too perfect. Like we could pull up Alma 31 and talk about Korihor with this video. Like it's so it's just insane. You guys are just gonna have to see it for yourself. We'll pull it up and just get going on this.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. So for reference too, have you seen The Acolyte, Dagan?
I have not. I've been
Okay.
working at FSY.
I watched 3 episodes and then I wanted to actually just die, so I stopped watching it. It is going to, if anything is going to kill Star Wars, this is it. And it's
Mhm.
interesting because the show really does blur the lines between good and evil and almost makes them seem like they don't exist. It poses the Jedi like that they're bad people, even though that's against the whole idea of the Jedi Code and the Jedi Order in the first place. So that's
Right.
why maybe the directors of the current show and the people who are in charge of Star Wars now have a different take on it. But I'm
Mhm.
going to share my screen and we're going to go to this video.
Yeah.
So yell at me to pause when I need to. All right, you see that?
I see it.
All right.
So yeah, this video is titled "The Dark Side is Cooler" in quotes.
You can hear that, right?
I cannot hear that.
Okay. Let's forget how to do this. Give me 1 second. One day we'll be at professional level, but it is
We'll
not
get
that
there
day.
eventually.
Hold up. Stop sharing. Screen. Share
But just a
sound. There we
little,
go.
yeah. So just a little background on the lore of Star Wars, if you didn't know, because we were kind of jumping into this. So Star Wars is a story about dark versus light, good versus evil, and it's basically a fantasy story about like the light side of this mystical power called the Force, and then the dark side of that same power, and they have like different abilities and everything, but the dark side is incredibly corruptive, and the light side is like harder to get to. And George Lucas is going to explain it in here. But the difference between the dark and the light side, the dark side are the bad guys, the light side are the good guys. Up until recently, now it's been a lot more.
Now it's like the
A lot
dark
more
side is the
gray.
bad guys and the light side is also the bad guys, but not quite as bad.
Yeah, yeah, they're all bad.
Well, from my point of view, the Jedi are evil.
Then you are lost.
All right, here we go.
If you were in Star Wars, would you be on the light or the dark side?
Dark side. Yeah, 100% dark side. Dark side user right here. So sorry, but the dark side is cooler.
It just is.
The dark side is pleasure, biological, and temporary, and easy to achieve. The light side is joy, everlasting, and difficult to achieve. One is selfless, one is selfish, and you want to keep them in balance. What happens when you go to the dark side is it goes out of balance, and then you get really selfish and you forget about everybody and you.
I really like the gray Jedi code. The gray Jedi code, and like I am just kind of a diplomatic person.
The best parts about
Okay,
Star
so
Wars
pause
is
that
there
right
is
there. So we we already start off with this huge, like, the really, really big, like, kind of almost 50-50 difference. We're starting off with the people who are in charge of Star Wars now, and they're just like, what side would you be on? And they immediately answer the dark side.
Mhm.
And they're like, the dark side is just cooler. Like it's just, you know, so much more interesting or whatever. And then you have George Lucas like quoting almost straight from Second Nephi chapter 2, saying that the dark side is like, you know, it's this pleasure, it's selfish, it's entirely like self-serving, and he's going to get more into this like later on in the video. But he basically says that like it's incredibly destructive. It is a very, very destructive force that just kind of eats away at you. The light side of the force, however, is joy, everlasting. That's straight up like a verse in Second Nephi chapter 2. The light side of the force is everlasting joy. And like
Okay, I also have here pulled up, I feel like this will help for reference too, the Jedi, Sith, and Grey Jedi mantras. So the dark side, get this one. It's kind of cool, but it's also like you're not the good guys. Like this isn't cooler. Peace is a lie. There is only passion. Through passion, I gain strength. Through strength, I gain power. Through power, I gain victory. Through victory, my chains are broken. The force shall free me. Pretty cool mantra, right? But then we have the Jedi code to contrast it with. There is no emotion, there is peace. There is no ignorance, there is knowledge. There is no passion, there is serenity. There is no chaos, there is no harmony. There is no death, there is the force. Right? Like the dark side, you see people tapping into the dark side, and the Sith are just inherently more powerful than the Jedi because they give into their passions. They are way better at combat. They can do like crazy force choking and force lightning and crap. But the Jedi have the ability to, through mastering their emotions in the Force, live forever. They have the ability to continue on as themselves in the Force in the next life, whatever the Star Wars lore for that is. And it's a way more powerful ability than the Sith can ever achieve through their like instant gratification type of Force wielding.
Yeah. The dark side of the Force, whatever. The dark side of the Force, like it's the way that George Lucas wrote it. It's something that, you know, it is a lot more powerful than the light side in terms of like right here and now, is the way that he describes it. And it's incredibly corruptible. Like the people who wield the dark side, like they all have, you know, the famous Sith eyes, they all like lose themselves in trying to seek for more power, trying to seek for more, and they lose their humanity, and they basically become like under the will of the dark side of the Force, which is not good.
Yeah, and they also have the Jedi. There's tons of Jedi. The Sith have this thing called the Rule of Two, where there's only a master and an apprentice. And the only way for the apprentice to become the master is to kill the master and then take a new apprentice. Right? It is incredibly selfish. It's like I will have all of the power. Nobody else can be equal to me.
And you see that with like the dark side users, like Palpatine. That was his entire character. He was always seeking for more power, always seeking for more like authority over people. And he lived that way. And he killed his master, Darth Plagueis the Wise, as he was called. And he, like, if you understand the lore of Star Wars, you understand that he purposefully made Darth Vader's suit awful and just really, really bad so that Darth Vader couldn't usurp him. Like Palpatine was so worried about him losing his power that he threw everything into like trying to keep it, and in the process he lost himself. And it was the same thing with Anakin. He was entirely wrapped up in this whole idea that he needed more power in order to save his wife, which is a noble cause, but it was his desire and his lust for power that drove him to the dark side and drove him to actually like kill the woman that he loved the most. It's the dark side is not good.
Yeah.
And then there's the whole Grey Jedi code, which is like, you know, you use the light side of the Force, but you don't agree with like the Jedi code of, you know, no emotional attachments.
Yeah. There is no dark
basically.
side nor a light side. There is only the force. I will do what I must to keep the balance. The balance is what keeps me together. There is no good without evil, but evil must not be allowed to flourish. There isn't passion, yet peace, yet serenity, yet emotion, chaos, yet order. I am the wielder of the flame, the protector of balance. I am the holder of the torch lighting the way. I am the keeper of the flame, soldier of balance. I am a guardian of balance. I am a gray Jedi.
Mhm.
That one's cool. It's definitely more noble than the dark side, and I'd say maybe even more noble sounding than the light side mantra, but it feels like justification to me. Like
Yeah,
I'm just
kind
gonna
of.
kind of do whatever I want. You
Yeah.
don't really get you don't really get to reap the benefits of either side. Being the instant I mean, you get a little bit of the instant gratification, you get a little bit of the serenity, but you don't get the
Right.
full effects of like living forever.
Yeah, you don't achieve immortality. However, I will say, and we can dive into this a little bit later, but I kind of like the idea of the Great Jedi Code for the reason that, like, if I think done right and if done well, the Great Jedi Code could be a very, very, very good like story illustrating Christianity, basically.
Yeah.
How, like, you have this organized force, and the reason why the Jedi fell is because of their hubris. It was because of their pride, because they saw themselves as like higher above, other beings, which they can live forever and do all of these incredible things, and so
So like
they were
maybe they're
swept
kind
up in
of right,
pride.
but
Yeah. And then I think it would have been really, really fascinating to have the Grey Jedis as like, we follow the will of the Force, being, kind of in Christianity sense, like we're not going to follow like any of the creeds and dogmas from all of the churches around us. We're going to follow Christ, and that just happens to lead you to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, in my opinion. But we'll get into that another time.
yeah. All right, I'm gonna keep going with the video.
Yeah. And then this next quote, this is what really, really got me upset.
Very Jedi code, and like I am just kind of a diplomatic person.
The best parts about Star Wars is there is no good or evil. It depends on what side you're standing on, truly.
That's not Star Wars. That's not Star Wars at all.
That's not
What?
any story ever. There's always an aspect of good and evil. Like you have to have them to be conflict. It's not, it depends on whatever side you stand on. It's like, oh, if I'm over here, then this is the good guys. Now if I'm over here, this is the good guys. Like, what?
Yeah, no, nobody is ever going to say, like, if I'm on the Avengers, I'm on the good side. If I'm fighting for Thanos, then I'm also on the good side. Nobody is going to say that. Nobody is going to say, if I'm on the Allies' powers in World War II, then I'm on the good guys. But if I happen to, like, be living in Germany and I'm fighting for the Axis powers, now those are the good guys. That's not how any of this works. It's not like this whole field of gray.
The world revolves around me.
Yeah.
Like, what?
That's exactly
how
what
does
is.
it work if I like, are you the main character now and none of the rest of us matter? How does this work? Because if we're all the good guys, what the crud are we doing?
Yeah. You have no conflict, you have no story, you have no lesson if both sides are, it just depends on where you stand. That's not a story.
Yeah, and
First
this is
off.
like the removal of objective truth as well. It's like, oh well,
Yeah.
my truth and your truth, like they're both true. We can both be right. It's like, no, we believe totally opposite things. That's not how it works.
Yeah. Short, angry German mustache man, in his world, he was completely right. In his eyes, he was completely right, and he was fighting for what he knew to be true. Nobody is gonna say that, because they know that like what he did was an evil, unforgivable thing. And like you can't this is not how life works. You can't just say that people are right, based on their own worldview. There is a morality, and people are wrong, and people go against morality in and of itself. And this quote just made me upset, because this is so against like everything that Star Wars was, with the light versus the dark. It was good versus evil, and it was very obvious which side was good and which side was evil. It wasn't like, from my point of view, the Jedi are evil. Anakin was in the wrong when he said that.
Bro had freaking creepy yellow eyes, and he just like had murdered a bunch of like children.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't. It didn't change to be the good side just because he was there.
Yeah, no, it's like this is not how you tell a story.
Yeah.
Especially a story as clear cut as Star Wars, where like George Lucas was very clear. The light side is joy everlasting, and the dark side is passion and greed. That's not a, it's not how it works.
Yeah. I'm gonna rewind so we can hear that quote again, and then we're gonna keep going.
Person.
The best parts about Star Wars is there is no good or evil. Depends on
Best
what side
part,
you're
man.
standing on, truly. You know what I
Best
mean?
part.
I would be both. I guess I'd be gray, you know?
It being able to access your emotions, but using your emotions for good.
Because when you get selfish, you get stuff. Or you want stuff. And when you want stuff and you get stuff, then you are afraid somebody's going to take it away from you. Whether it's a person or a thing or a particular pleasure, experience. Once you become afraid that somebody's going to take it away from you, or you're going to lose it, then you start to become angry.
Just like Mother Anastasia, I would be questioning the whole system of saying what is light and what is dark.
This woman is a witch. She's a
Oh.
witch who does like magic.
Is this the Night Sisters?
Yeah, it kind of. Okay,
Kind of
so
the Night Sisters? Okay.
I think that the main character, there's like a twin, and one of them is like good and one of them is bad. And it follows mainly like the good twin. But there's twins, and they were raised by like this coven of all female witches. And they have two moms, one of whom is a transgender Zabrak. So like, okay, hold up. So we got like,
Oh, interesting.
yeah. Oh yeah, this is the ratings of the show. The critics gave it a really high rating, but the audience gave it a 31%.
Oh man.
I don't know what it is with the critics. They tend to rate really good movies really bad, and the audience will tell you what's really up. But 30%, I'm surprised it was that high. So okay, these are the Knight brothers, right? These are like the guys who live on the planet called Dathomir. These are the dudes. They have like tattoos and horns. They look like Darth Maul. Everyone knows who Darth Maul is. These are the Night Sisters. They really only show up in the Clone Wars. They're the female counterparts. They live on like another side of the planet, and they all only come together like to reproduce. And they're witches.
They're like
they
the
hang out over
Amazons
side,
from they're like the
Pretty
Amazons
much,
from
yeah.
Greek mythology, but with magic.
but with magic, yeah. And they're witches. Like they literally like will bury themselves in like these pods and trees, and then they can raise like each other up as zombies to go and fight their enemies and stuff. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Actually pretty awesome.
It's pretty cool, dude. Those were some good episodes. But yeah, we have like these
Yeah.
guys and these guys. And this is the mom of the main characters. One of the moms.
Mm. Okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So kind of whack. Kind of whack. That's not what I meant to do. Go back up. I hate this ad. Oh my gosh. I am so sorry to our audience.
If you were in Star Wars,
Okay, back to it. But yeah, like we have the witches here who are like, well, we're like following our heart and we're doing the right thing by like protecting our families and the people we love. But they're also like witches practicing black magic who are not afraid to
bueno.
like corrupt children and kill people. And you're like, what? Okay, I'm sorry. I don't get it.
Yeah. It's just
Whether it's a person or a thing or a particular pleasure, experience. Once you become afraid that somebody's going to take it away from you or you're going to lose it, then you start to become angry.
just like Mother Anastasia, I would be questioning the whole system of saying what is light and what is dark. I think definitely Jodie Turner-Smith would be like not existing inside of either side. I guess I'd be gray, you know, but my lightsaber would be red. I don't know.
People are gonna see this and be like,
okay. There's like a whole lore thing with the red lightsaber comment, because you don't get to choose your lightsaber color unless you're a Jedi.
It
If
chooses
you're
you.
It chooses you. If you're a Sith, the reason why your lightsaber is red is because you put so much darkness into the kyber crystal that it literally bleeds. And that's why your lightsaber is red.
The kyber crystal is kind of like, I feel like I relate it to yeast. It's kind of like yeast, where it's like it's alive, and I don't really know how it's alive or how it works, but it works, and it's really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah,
just
the
you
lore
saying
behind
like I'd
kyber
be
is
on
that
the
it's
gray
alive.
side, but my lightsaber would be red. That's bad. because you're saying that you're going to put so much like darkness and essentially like negative energy or whatever you want to call it, but you're putting so much hatred into your lightsaber, into your kyber crystal that it bleeds. You can't
Yep,
just
they
pick
call
to
it
have a red
bleeding
lightsaber.
kyber.
Yeah. Like that's the lore side of the Star Wars. But now I kind of want to go into like the social commentary. If you can if you can gather my audience member friend here watching this, I the dichotomy between how George Lucas describes light and dark versus how the current people who are in charge of Star Wars describe light and dark, it really starts to shed light, no pun intended, but it really starts to shed light on how people are feeling about good and evil in our modern society and like where this is going to lead. Because George Lucas, he looks at it, you know, very black and white, very, you know, light and dark. He says the light side is joy and the dark side is pleasure and pain. Whereas the people today, they're saying that, hey, no, it's all more gray. I'd be questioning the entire system. Like I'd really be dark side. When it comes to like morality, especially the gospel, especially the things that Jesus Christ taught, Jesus Christ taught black and white. He taught that there is a good and that there is an evil. Taught that there is a savior and that there is a tempter, or like whatever title you want to attribute to Satan.
No man can serve two masters.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty clear right there. You can't serve dark and serve light. You can't. I like the you can't be a Christian on Sunday and part of the world the rest of the week.
It doesn't work.
Mhm.
You can't expect to come into Christ, or even to like, you know, walk in through the gates of heaven, however you want to picture that imagery. You can't expect to do that while living a double life. It just does not work. You will not feel comfortable in the presence of God, especially because, you know, he's God. He knows everything. He knows everything that you've done, and he knows that you're not fully committed to him.
And you will know that he knows that.
Yes, you will feel it. And it
It'll
will
be
not
you
feel
that
good.
makes that call. Yeah.
Yeah. And so there's a whole prophecy in the Bible that, you know, good will be called evil and evil will be called good.
I'm glad you brought that
And
up. I was going to.
this is that prophecy to a T. And not necessarily that like evil is being called good. There are like, you know, if we wanted to get into like some other stuff, which I don't have time for because I need to go back to work. But if we wanted to get into some other stuff, then we can dive into like the specifics of what is good that is being called evil, what is evil that is being called good, mostly surrounding around the doctrine of marriage, and just spirituality in general. But this is blurring the line, a line that needs to remain rigid in order to have a successful society and a successful people.
Mhm. Good and evil are real. Right?
Yeah.
And I think it goes with there's so many scriptures that just keep coming in my head. You know the scripture where it says that the devil tries to tell people that I am no devil, for there is none, right? Like he convinces people that he's not real. That if he's not real, then evil's not real, and really anything goes. It doesn't matter what you do. Just do whatever the heck makes you happy, and that will lead us to destruction as individuals and as a society. You know,
Mhm.
I feel like it comes from a place of pride of saying there's no good and evil and I can do what I want without taking the consequences of this, right? Like the whole gray Jedi thing. The gray Jedi are never as righteous and are far, far, far more susceptible to corruption than any
Mhm.
of the Jedi are themselves, because they think that they can double dip and they think that they can use and access the powers of the dark side and be selfish without having the consequences of it. But the consequences will always follow.
Yeah. It's incredibly risky and it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
I was gonna say something profound. There is a good and evil, and in our day and age, it's getting harder and harder to see. And that's why we need prophets. That's why we need scriptures. That's why we need to have a personal connection with our Father in heaven. because we can't lose that. Because if the day we do, we will be destroyed. And it's not gonna be good. However, I don't know, just like a little beacon of hope, I guess, that I can throw in here. I've been working at FSY. This is my 5th week now. So I've had 5 different companies averaging 16 youth, I want to say. And I've been in sessions where this is the smallest session that I've been in so far. And I think we have like 550 youth here in South Carolina where I'm at. The biggest one was Provo. We had like over 1,500.
That checks out.
Yeah, it was massive. I'm actually going to be in Provo next week. It's going to be wild. But just a little light of hope. The youth get it. The youth are they recognize that there is a savior and that there is light in the light of the gospel. They understand. And it's been so cool to see as a counselor, and as an aging 20-year-old, that like the rising generation is going to be okay because they understand. We just need to be more conscious, I guess. I'm going to say this for people who like, you know, are about to have children or whatever, because I'm not going to say that I'm in that boat because it's going to be a while for me. But the people who are shepherding the youth of today and shepherding the younger people, it's important to teach that there is a good and an evil, that there is a savior and that there is a devil. But the power and the joy and the peace that comes from the light side of the gospel is far more worth it. And it is far more beautiful. And while it does take a lot of discipline to attain, my goodness, you will regret nothing.
Awesome.
I don't know.
Okay.
Any concluding thoughts from your end?
I just wanted to ask 2 questions to close this out.
Okay.
What color lightsaber would you have?
Well, either blue or green. Probably green. I don't know. I love Qui-Gon Jinn. He's like my favorite character.
Yeah.
So I'd probably say green, but
Green. Okay, yeah, that's cool. Because I think with the blue and the green lightsabers, blue is more like you got guys like Obi-Wan and Anakin who are strong in the Force, but are very tactical, I'd say, as well. Not
Mhm.
just in their lightsaber prowess, but in just how they handle different things. And then with the green, it's more Force sensitive, like Yoda.
Yeah. There's the ones who wield the blue lightsabers are often more like combat oriented.
Mhm.
And then the ones that wield the green are oftentimes like they focus on their connection with the Force and learning more from the Force. That's why Qui-Gon Jinn had a green lightsaber.
Very
In
wise
canon,
guy.
because he valued his connection with the Force far more than like lightsaber combat, I guess.
It makes sense. It makes sense for a guy who played the voice of Lion Jesus in Narnia.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I'd be blue. Okay, but what color lightsaber do you think Jesus would have? And I'm opening this up to all of the lightsaber
yeah.
colors.
Oh, what's the lore behind the yellow lightsabers? That's a Sentinels, right?
Yeah. Okay. So what it is you have a blue or green lightsaber. Like Kyber really only comes in blue and green. It could be purple, like Mace Windu's lightsaber. Samuel Jackson was like, I want a purple lightsaber. I'm not doing this. They were like, okay, we're gonna come up with some lore for that. The lore for that is that you tap into both dark and light side without becoming a servant to either one, or to the dark, I guess. Then you got the red, which is the corrupted Kyber, and the white is the purified Kyber. Like when a Jedi heals a Kyber crystal, it becomes white, and over time it will turn yellow and then back to green or blue.
Okay. I feel like Jesus would have blue, but with the people that he heals, that they would have white. I don't know. That's just my thoughts on that, but
Yeah, I'd say white, no contest. We're the lightsabers. We're the broken
that works
ones.
actually.
The
I like
tools that he
that.
uses. Yeah.
We're the lightsabers. We're the Kyber crystals.
Yeah, I remember thinking about this because I saw a couple of AI pictures when AI was brand new of Jesus holding different color lightsabers, and I was like, this is an interesting question.
Mhm. That's a cool question.
All right.
But yeah.
Want to close this out?
So little fun social commentary. I've been watching like way too much Star Wars videos about like the current state of the industry. And I found this and thought it was very, very interesting and provided a fascinating commentary about our society today. And so I don't know. I just kind of wanted to get into it. This was a bit of a more impulsive episode. I probably should have written more notes as far as like the things that I wanted to talk about, but that's okay.
We're just gonna keep it short for y'all.
Yeah. Anyways, have a fantastic rest of your day. This is Stalwart Saints, and we will see you in the next video. Like, share, subscribe, comment what color lightsaber you think you would have, and who your favorite Jedi is.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.